In the modern world of football punditry, there are few figures more polarizing than Graeme Souness. His uncompromising takes, forged in an era when toughness was a necessity rather than a trait, still echo through television screens. He remains, in many ways, the embodiment of the old-school footballer, one who, for better or worse, refuses to soften with time. It's what makes him fascinating to watch, whether he's berating a player's lack of commitment or flinging a pen across a studio in frustration, as seen in a recent clip that went viral. But it's also what keeps him estranged from the club where his legend was made. Souness, now in his 70s, is a man who once commanded football's biggest stages, particularly during his golden years at Liverpool. His playing career was a testament to power and poise, a midfield titan with a sharp eye for a pass, a razor-sharp temper, and a bone-crushing tackle. In an era when Liverpool were synonymous with dominance, Souness was at the heart of it all, leading them to 5 league championships and 3 European Cups. He was captain during a time when the Anfield side steamrolled their way through both domestic and European competition, and few could match his blend of skill and aggression. Yet, despite his extraordinary achievements, the legacy of Graeme Souness has been overshadowed by one infamous misstep that continues to haunt him to this day. The man who should be mentioned in the same breath as Steven Gerrard or Kenny Dalglish when discussing Liverpool's greatest players is instead seen through a lens of controversy and estrangement. And at the heart of this disconnect is his 1992 interview with The Sun, a decision that has left him on the fringes of Liverpool's history rather than at its core. For those unfamiliar with the deep wounds of Merseyside, the Hillsborough disaster of 1989, which claimed the lives of 97 Liverpool fans, remains an open scar in the city. In the days following the tragedy, The Sun printed false and slanderous headlines accusing Liverpool fans of grotesque behaviour, including stealing from the dead and urinating on police officers. The newspaper's lies were unforgivable, and the city of Liverpool has boycotted it ever since. In 1992, Souness, then Liverpool's manager, gave an exclusive interview to The Sun, a decision that would forever change his relationship with the club's fans. Worse still, the interview, featuring a staged photo of Souness with his then-girlfriend, was published on the 3rd anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster. For a man who had spent years embodying the spirit of Liverpool, it was seen as the ultimate betrayal. And though Souness later apologised, the timing and the association with The Sun created a rift that has never healed. In the years since, Souness has made attempts to explain the context. The money from the interview, he says, was intended for Alder Hey Children's Hospital, and at the time he hadn't fully grasped the depth of feeling on Merseyside toward the newspaper. Yet to Liverpool fans, these explanations fall short. How could the man who had captained their team not understand the gravity of Hillsborough? How could he have been so disconnected from the city and its pain? Souness himself has reflected on the episode with deep regret. "It ultimately soured my relationship with the Liverpool supporters forever," he wrote in his 2017 autobiography, expressing remorse for the irreparable damage done. But for many, including those who lost loved ones at Hillsborough, an apology is simply not enough. The pain runs too deep, and time, rather than healing the wounds, has only solidified the sense of betrayal. What makes this all the more tragic is that Souness is a man who, in many other ways, epitomizes the values that Liverpool holds dear. On the pitch, he was fearless, committed, and relentless, qualities that endeared him to the Kop for so many years. He was the heartbeat of a team that dominated the late 1970s and early 1980s, a leader who set the standard for those around him. In another world, his name would be spoken with the same reverence as Dalglish or Gerrard, and his place in Anfield's pantheon would be secure. But instead, his achievements have been clouded by the lingering resentment of that 1992 interview. Liverpool, as a club, has long prided itself on being a family. The club's relationship with its supporters is unlike almost any other in world football, bound together by shared moments of joy and tragedy. Yet, in this instance, the family has not forgiven one of its own. And while other greats from Liverpool's past are invited back for celebrations, testimonials and reunions, Souness remains largely on the outside, looking in. It raises the question, is redemption still possible for Graeme Souness? In recent years, there has been no concerted effort from the former midfielder to bridge the divide. One wonders whether Souness has resigned himself to his fate, believing that no gesture, no apology, could ever be enough to repair the damage done. Or perhaps, as some suggest, it is simply not in his nature to reach out and seek reconciliation. The warrior within him may be too proud, too battle-hardened to publicly reopen those old wounds. But football has a strange way of surprising us, and while it seems unlikely, one cannot entirely rule out the possibility of forgiveness. Souness, after all, remains one of Liverpool's finest ever players, and his regret is genuine. In interviews, his remorse for the hurt he caused is clear. What remains less clear is whether he has the will or the opportunity to make things right. As he reflects on his life and career, Souness must surely wrestle with this unresolved chapter. For a man who achieved so much, who conquered Europe and dominated English football, to have this black mark on his record must be agonizing. But for now, the silence continues. The apology remains incomplete, the wound unhealed. Graeme Souness may never be fully forgiven by Liverpool's fans. He may never again walk out onto the Anfield turf to the kind of applause that greets other legends. And that is a tragedy in itself, because for all his faults, for all his mistakes, Souness remains one of the greatest to ever wear the red shirt. The fact that his legacy remains in limbo, hanging between admiration and alienation, is a testament to the enduring power of football's emotional ties, and to the difficulty of finding redemption when the hurt runs so deep. As time marches on and the memories of his playing days fade, one question lingers. Will Graeme Souness ever make peace with the club he once led to greatness, or is the rift too deep to bridge? Only time and perhaps a final act of contrition will tell.